This video is sponsored by Squarespace. So I've used the GFX 100S in 2 full sessions. Let's talk about my thoughts on the camera. So as you all know, I recently finally got my hands on the GFX 100S. If you're not familiar with the camera, it is a Fujifilm camera that is medium format, so larger than full frame. The camera is $6,000, so it is pretty expensive, but one thing I've always been curious about is if it's able to handle weddings. And while I haven't been able to use it at any weddings just yet, I definitely have a lot of feelings about the camera, so let's go ahead and talk about them. So the 2 sessions that I was able to use the GFX 100S at was a portrait session and also an elopement portrait session. These are pretty low-key type sessions. It's just the couple together in a location where I'm basically in control of the whole session. Because of this, bringing the 100S along was a good idea. The thing with weddings is that they're kind of fast, so I wanted to try the camera out first a couple of times in some normal session situations before I brought it to an actual wedding. As far as the image quality is concerned, the GFX 100S looks absolutely amazing. If you've ever used the GFX 100, basically you're getting the exact same image quality. Now, I wasn't shooting with the full potential of the GFX, I actually was shooting it more for weddings. What I mean by this, for my settings, I was only shooting 14-bit color, compressed RAW, and also in 35mm mode. Basically, the 35mm mode crops the photo just a little bit so the aspect ratio is the same as a typical camera. Now, the reason I set all this up is because it gives me more photos in the long run. If you shoot full RAW 16-bit, totally uncropped anything, you're shooting like 900 photos, even on a 128 gig SD card. Whereas with the settings I was using, brought me to around 2200 full raw images that I could shoot. And if you'd like to see how I set up my GFX 100S, let me know in the comments below and I'll do a setup video just for you all. But again, the reason I chose these settings is because on a full wedding day, they're hands down gonna be the best and give me the most options. My buffer times are gonna be way better and I know that I'm gonna be able to get the photos I need. So you may be thinking, why would you buy a $6,000 camera and just compress all the photos and crop them? But at the end of the day, you're getting all of the pixel, 102 megapixels, and also the depth of field that a medium format camera will give you. Next up, let's talk about the camera's ergonomics and weight. I was actually extremely surprised at how awesome this camera feels. The grip is nice and deep, which is great for this camera since it is a little bit more heavy compared to an XT series. And everything else about it feels exactly like a Fujifilm camera. I basically picked it up and felt right at home. Now, I personally don't use the dials, so I don't miss them at all. This is actually everything I want and love out of the Fujifilm cameras, except for the D-pad. I am extremely hurt that they got rid of the D-pad. It just gives you so many more options rather than just having the little joystick. And looking through the menus, I do see that they switched a lot of the options to the touchscreen, but honestly, I am not a big fan of using the touchscreen for anything because sometimes when I'm taking photos, my nose swipes up against it and I can't have that happening at a wedding. So my biggest gripe about the GFX 100S is the fact that there's no D-pad on it. As far as weight, the weight feels really good. Honestly, it's probably only a little bit heavier than an XT series with a battery grip on it, but it's super light compared to most DSLRs. For the lenses, I was using the 110 and the 45, and honestly, the 45 is super light. I was extremely surprised at the feel and weight of this camera, even with some of these larger lenses on it. But before we continue, let's talk about this video's sponsor, Squarespace. Now, with amazing 102 megapixel files, you need a website to show off these amazing photos. And the easiest way to build a website for yourself is with Squarespace. Squarespace is an online platform to help you build your website quickly and easily. And as a wedding photographer and business owner, wasting time dealing with your website is not something you want to do. You want to be spending all your time taking amazing photos and serving your clients while also booking new clients. And having a beautiful website is the best way to do that. I've been using Squarespace for 6 years now and I absolutely love all the features that it gives me and its ease of use. With amazing templates laid out for you, there's not a lot of work you have to do on your end to make a beautiful website. You also have analytics to track what's happening on your website, who's visiting and where from, contact forms so new couples can get in touch with you, and even commerce if you have any products that you want to sell yourself. Definitely make sure to check out Squarespace. In the link below, you can get 10% off of your first website or domain. So the next biggest thing on my mind while using the camera was the speed of the camera. And when we talk about speed of the camera, there's mainly two places that I focus on: the autofocus speed and also the shutter speeds. The autofocus is actually surprisingly good. Now, you all know that I don't use a lot of continuous autofocus modes. Mainly I'm using single point focus. And while using the GFX 100S, I had a great time with focus and nothing really was happening. Now, it is slower than an XT series and you have to be prepared for that, but it's not slow in the sense of slow autofocus at all. Also, I did use zone autofocus and continuous autofocus for a while with a couple walking towards me, and it worked really well. It didn't really drop too many shots. I can show a couple of them here, just the whole sequence, and you can see how it's getting that focus. As far as the shutter speed, I think it gets somewhere around 5 frames a second. Now, compared to the X series, that is super slow. It's been a long time since I've shot a camera that only does about 5 frames a second. However, it is not a problem at all. Basically, I had my camera set to high shutter the whole time, so I'm getting that full 5 frames a second, and I actually didn't really miss it too much. And really the only times that I'm using like the full 14 frames a second from like the X-T3 or X-T4 is during first kiss, maybe a first look, things like that. I'm not really using it that often. So 5 frames a second is fine because I'm used to shooting maybe like 8 or 9. But on that same note, the biggest question that comes up is, can you shoot a wedding with the GFX 100S? After all the information I gave you all, I would say yes. I think my biggest fear with the GFX 100S is reception time. I'm not really sure how it's gonna focus when it starts getting dark. And I'm also not really sure if it can keep up with the speed of a reception. In a perfect world where I'm able to carry like 50 cameras on me at one time, what I would do is shoot the GFX at the start of the day, all the way up through the ceremony, and then once we hit the reception, I would swap over to like an X-T3 or X-T4. Now, I do wanna try it though, so my big plan at some point is to grab another GFX 100S and dual wield the cameras like I normally do and do a full wedding day. And if you're interested in seeing that, please leave a like on this video and let me know. That'll give me more incentive to get it done quicker. Cause yeah, that would be hype. A whole behind the scenes wedding day with GFX 100Ss. Like, who does that? Who shoots medium format, 2 cameras, 102 megapixels. But yeah, I do think you can handle weddings. The safer way to go is elopements and smaller weddings, but a full-blown wedding, it's questionable. We'll see. We'll definitely try it out. So overall, I absolutely love the camera. I love my purchase and I'm happy with the camera. I'm probably gonna mainly use it during engagement sessions and small elopements or portrait sessions. I might bring one with me during weddings and use it for the portraits, because having a couple portraits with the GFX 100S is gonna be absolutely amazing. But other than that, right now, it's not really reserved for weddings. It is just a little bit too slow, and I'm not sure how the focusing will work when it gets dark. But again, I'm gonna try it out at a full real wedding and see how it works out. So let me know your thoughts on the GFX 100S. Do you own one? Would you like to own one? Do you think it's overkill? Let me know in the comments below. And I hope you all enjoyed this video. I'll check you all out next time. All right, peace.